But it cannot be that in such a knowledge of God rests the natural desire for a separate substance. For everything that is imperfect in some kind desires to achieve the perfection of that kind. For he who has an opinion about something, which is an imperfect knowledge of that thing, is incited by this very thing to desire the knowledge of that thing. Now the aforesaid knowledge which separate substances have of God, not knowing his substance, is an imperfect species of knowledge. For we do not think that we know anything if we do not know his substance. Hence the most important thing in the knowledge of a thing is to know what it is. From this knowledge, therefore, which the separate substances have of God, the natural desire is not stilled, but is rather incited to see the divine substance. Again, from the knowledge of the effects, the desire to know the cause is stimulated, whence men began to philosophize, inquiring into the causes of things. Therefore, the desire to know, which is naturally infused into all intellectual substances, does not rest unless, having known the substances of the effects, they also know the substance of the cause. Therefore, by the fact that separate substances know that God is the cause of all the things whose substances they see, the natural desire in them does not rest unless they also see the substance of God himself. Still, just as the question because of what is related to the question because, so the question what is related to the question whether it is. For the question because of what seeks a means to show that something is, suppose that the moon is eclipsed, and similarly the question of what is seeks a means of demonstrating whether it is, according to the teaching handed down in two. Now we see that those who see that there is something naturally desire to know why. Therefore, knowing whether something exists, they naturally desire to know what it is, which is to understand its substance. Therefore, the natural desire to know does not rest in the knowledge of God, by which he is known only because he is. Further, nothing can appease the infinite desire of the intellect. From this it is shown that the intellect, given anything finite, strives for something beyond. Hence, given every finite line, it strives to grasp something greater, and likewise in numbers. And this is the reason for infinite addition in numbers and mathematical lines. But the height and power of every created substance is finite. Therefore, the understanding of separate substance does not rest by knowing that created substances are elevated no matter how high, but it still tends by natural desire to understand a substance that is of infinite height, as was shown in the first book about the divine substance. In addition, as there is a natural desire in all intellectual natures to know, so there is a natural desire in them to banish ignorance or ignorance. But separate substances, as has already been said, know in the aforesaid manner of knowledge that the substance of God is above them, and above all that which is understood by them. And consequently, they know that the divine substance is unknown to them. Their natural desire, therefore, tends to understand the divine substance. Again, the nearer a thing is to the end, the more it tends towards the end with a greater desire. Whence we see that the natural motion of bodies is directed to the end. But the understanding of separate substances is closer to divine knowledge than our understanding. Therefore they desire the knowledge of God more intensely than we do. But we, no matter how much we know that God exists, and the other things that have been said above, we do not rest in longing, but we still long to know him by his essence. Much more, then, are separate substances naturally wanting in this. Therefore, their aforesaid desire is not quenched in the knowledge of God. from which it is concluded that the ultimate happiness of the separated substance is not in that knowledge of God by which they know him through their substances, since their desire still leads them to the substance of God, in which it is also sufficiently evident that the ultimate happiness is to be sought in no other than in the operation of the intellect, since no desire carries so high a desire as the desire to understand the truth. For all our desires, either for pleasure or for any other thing that is desired by man, can rest in other things. But the aforesaid desire does not rest until it reaches the supreme hinge of things and the Maker, God. Because of this, wisdom appropriately says, Wisdom 24:7, I dwelt in the highest places, and my throne was in a pillar of cloud. And Proverbs 9:3, it is said that wisdom calls to the citadel through her handmaidens. Let them be ashamed, therefore, who seek the happiness of man, which is so profoundly situated in the lowest things.